So recently we had heard about significant battery upgrades on iPhone 15 that got me super excited, and now to back this up we have news that we could see stacked battery technology, which I know sounds very fancy, so let's delve into it guys. So this comes from a Twitter user called RGCloudS, very interesting name, and they seem to be a relatively credible Android leaker, but of course, take all of this with a grain of salt. This might be surprising to some of you guys, but leaks can be false, so don't take them too seriously guys. Anyways, they say both the iPhone 15 and the Galaxy S24 should use this new stacked battery technology where the elements and separators are folded into zigzag layers instead of being rolled up. Now that's a lot of fancy words that I don't know the meaning of, but basically this means there's less wasted space inside the device, and so inside the same device Apple can now give us a much larger battery inside, and also because of this technology, heat is distributed more uniformly across the battery, which of course does increase the lifespan, so this is actually quite a big upgrade. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. This is actually exactly what electric vehicles use, since this stacked technology allows them to have qualities like superior energy densities, high power output, and so I'm finally glad we're getting some sort of new technology in the battery space, because this is one aspect of phones that has not seen much change in years. We've only seen batteries get bigger in size, but the tech is basically still the same as the Nokia bricks we had back in the day, and so yes, we need to start using something other than lithium ion because we've been using that for decades. That being said, I do have a feeling development in this area has been halted on purpose. Yes, I have a conspiracy theory, so put your tinfoil hats on guys. I currently don't have one, so let me add one in post. Boom, there we go. Anyways, here's what I think. The only reason we upgrade our smartphones nowadays is usually because the battery life is no longer good enough. Now yes, you could just replace your battery, but of course, a lot of consumers don't want to pay £100 to replace the battery because yes, Tim has done a big brain strat and has increased prices of battery replacements. And so yeah, for most consumers, they're just gonna buy a new phone instead, and that's gonna make Tim a very happy man. So yes, while we've been hearing about things like graphene batteries that could give us days of battery life, whether it sees the light of day is something I do doubt, because if battery life's no longer an issue for consumers, why would you upgrade? So yes, that's my conspiracy theory that in hindsight's actually pretty obvious. But anyways, taking my imaginary tinfoil hat off, let's now talk about the charging upgrades alongside these larger batteries. The same source claims there's been signs of Apple exploring 40-watt wired charging for iPhones and 20-watt charging via MagSafe, which is ludicrous, but they're unsure whether we're going to see this with the 15 or the 16 range instead. Basically, that's what sources say when they don't want to end up being wrong, and so just to be safe, they say, hey, it could come to this year's iPhone, or the one after that, or maybe the one after that. Actually, scrap that. It's coming to an iPhone in the future. I'm very sure of that. I won't give away which one it is, but yes, it will come to an iPhone in the future. Just you wait. Anyways, for those curious, the 14 Pro Max achieves peaked wide charging speeds of up to 29 watts, while MagSafe only charges at 15 watts. So this would be a massive upgrade. But Apple's never been one to offer mighty fast charging speeds, and frankly I don't care about this as well because I'd rather have a thick boy of an iPhone with a massive battery inside that gets me through the day instead of a phone that has insanely fast charging speeds that also absolutely obliterates the battery health. Because yes, people tend to forget about that when it comes to fast charging, and of course with Apple's battery replacements costing an arm and a leg quite literally, I don't want 50% battery health after 1 year of use with 100-watt charging. No, that is something the iPhone does not need. Now for those who weren't aware of the previous report regarding battery capacities, let's now delve into that as a little recap for you guys. So the regular iPhone 15 should now have a 3,877 mAh battery inside, which is an 18% increase over the 14, which has a battery capacity of 3,200 mAh. Now, to put things into perspective, the 11 Pro Max had a battery capacity of 3,969. Yes, funny number. But anyways, we now have a similar sized battery in the 6.1-inch iPhone, and so coupled with the 60Hz panel and the more efficient A16, we could get some insane battery gains. Now, I know some of you guys might be wondering how much better it is actually going to be in terms of real life usage. Well, the iPhone 13 had a 15% larger battery over the 12, and that resulted in a 2.5-hour increase in battery life, and so I'm expecting 3 more hours of endurance with the iPhone 15. The iPhone 14 lasted 9 hours 28 minutes in Tom Guide's battery test, which is a pretty credible source, and so 3 more hours using some big brain maths should be around 12.5 hours of battery life, which is on par with the 13 Pro Max. That's insane, guys, especially when this is the base iPhone, it's the cheapest one and it's a small device. So yeah, that is pretty ludicrous. Coming to the iPhone 15 Pro, historically the base Pros had a smaller battery inside compared to the regular size because there are large oven stoves on the back that takes up more space, and this is no different, guys. Allegedly it's going to have a 3,650 mAh battery inside, which is a 14% increase, and while this is a bit smaller than the 15's battery, this should still give us a major upgrade battery-wise because the Pro is going to have the A17 that's going to be on the blazing fast 3nm process, and also it should have an LTPO panel that's going to be more efficient since it goes down to 1 Hz. And so ever credible Tom's Guide said the 14 Pro lasted 10 hours 13 minutes, and so we could see battery life in the range of 13 to 14 hours on the 15 Pro, which is again very impressive for such a small device. This could basically bring the regular Pro to the levels of the 13 and 14 Pro Max, and that's very enticing for me because I'm kinda getting fed up with the behemoth of a phone that is the Pro Max. It's a workout trying to hold this phone with my feeble arms, and so if I could downsize whilst not losing out on endurance, I might actually consider it. That's not the most exciting news though, because now we come to the big boy iPhones, and the 15 Plus allegedly is getting a battery capacity of 4,912 mAh, which is absolutely ludicrous, insane, amazing, all the big words you can think of. I am so excited to see iPhones finally get battery capacities close to 5,000 mAh, because that's the norm in the Android space. You will find most 6.1-inch phones have large batteries inside, and yet the iPhone still destroys them with much smaller batteries. And so just imagine how the 15 Plus is gonna be when, of course, the capacity inside is the same as those Android flagships. It gets me tingling. Now, since this is a 14% increase in battery capacity over the 14 Plus, expect 2.5 more hours of battery life here with the 15 Plus, and so extrapolating based on Tom's Guide's findings, we could see 14.5 hours of endurance, since the 14 Plus lasted 11 hours and 57 minutes. That would make this outperform the 14 Pro Max that lasted 13 hours and 39 minutes. And so yes, I'm running out of adjectives to describe these battery upgrades. They're incredible, and every other synonym you guys can think of. Apple's not ending there though, because they're going Super Saiyan. I think that's a reference. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that they're going overkill with the 15 Pro Max. This allegedly is going to have a battery capacity of 4,852 mAh, which yes, like the Pro, is smaller than the regular counterparts, but that makes sense because there's going to be a massive periscope lens chucked inside the device that's going to take up space. In fact, it's actually quite impressive Apple's still giving us a battery close to 5,000 mAh when there's a periscope lens and other massive camera components inside the device. Anyways, coupled with the more efficient 3nm A17 and also the more efficient LTPO panel on this, we should get some industry-leading endurance with the 15 Pro Max. In Tom Guide's battery test, the 14 Pro Max lasted 13 hours and 39 minutes, and so considering the 15 Pro Max has a 12% larger battery inside, I'm expecting 16 to 17 hours of endurance with this 15 Pro Max, which is, I just have no words to describe how amazing that is. And for comparison, guys, the ROG Phone 6, which is a gaming phone, it has a 6,000 mAh battery inside, that lasted 18 hours and 32 minutes. And so a regular smartphone for regular consumers coming close with a much smaller battery inside is really quite insane. And so yes, I am so excited for these battery upgrades. If this does pan out, which I'm hoping it does, this will hands down be the #1 feature with the 15 series. Forget about the thinner bezels or the titanium or the periscope lens. No, the battery upgrades are gonna be insane, and that's what you're gonna appreciate on a day-to-day basis when using these devices. Anyways, on that note, let me know your thoughts regarding this. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.